Sad reality wakes before the sun, sits on the edge of the bed, counts the cracks in the ceiling like unfinished prayers. It drinks cold tea of yesterday, wears the same face to work, learns how to smile without muscles, how to nod without believing. Sad reality knows our names, writes them wrong on official forms, stamps dates that never forgive, files dreams under lost and found. It walks the streets with bare feet, even when shoes are promised, steps on glass called hope, pretends it does not bleed. We were taught to wait patiently, as if patience were bread, as if hunger were polite, as if time were kind. Sad reality teaches silence early, how to swallow words like stones, how to clap for others' victories, while our hands shake empty. The mirror tells half-truths, the other half hides in shadows, where courage sleeps lightly and fear keeps the keys. Homes are built with borrowed smiles, walls painted with one day, roofs patched with excuses, floors creaking under regret. Sad reality counts currency in breaths, each sigh an unpaid bill, each pause a reminder that life charges interest. We promise ourselves tomorrow, fold it carefully, place it in pockets with holes, lose it before noon. Crowds pass like fast trains, everyone waving at someone else. No one stopping long enough to ask who is left behind. Sad reality knows the weight of names, mother, father, child, titles heavier than bones, responsibilities that never sleep. Dreams line up like beggars, some with talent, some with luck, all with stories no one reads, waiting for a miracle with poor timing. Sad reality wears many uniforms, sometimes a suit, sometimes rags, sometimes a kind face that says, "This is normal." We learn to measure happiness carefully. Too much attracts envy. Too little invites advice, so we keep it quiet. Sad reality speaks in deadlines, in not now, in maybe later, in letters that start with regret and end with signatures. Children grow faster than promises, their questions sharper than knives, asking why the sky is free and we are not. Sad reality hums in the background, a constant noise we call life, only noticed when silence tries to enter the room. We forgive the world too easily, blame ourselves too quickly, carry guilt like a family heirloom, polish it with tears. Sad reality applauds endurance, rewards survival, rarely mentions joy, as if joy were a rumor. Nights become confession rooms, pillows soaked with unsent letters, ceilings listening patiently, stars pretending not to hear. Sad reality loves routine, the safety of repetition, the comfort of knowing nothing will change suddenly. We become experts at pretending, laughing on cue, standing straight in storms, calling collapse character. Sad reality teaches comparison, how someone always has less, how someone always has more, how contentment stays confused. Faith is tested in small moments, empty wallets, silent phones, doors that open for others, windows that close on us. Sad reality files appeals endlessly. Hope versus experience, innocence versus time, dreams versus rent. We collect memories like bruises. Some fade, some stay forever, all reminding us where we fell. Sad reality is not always cruel. Sometimes it is just tired, too busy to be fair, too old to be gentle. Yet even here, in its shadow, a stubborn spark survives, small, foolish, undefeated, refusing to die quietly. Because sad reality is truth, but not the whole truth, a chapter heavy with rain, not the end of the book. And somewhere between breaking and breathing, between losing and learning to stand, we write our names again, not erased, just rewritten. Sad reality wakes the streets at dawn, sweeping yesterday's hopes into corners, vendors opening stalls with tired eyes, selling survival by the hour. It stands in long queues with us, documents clutched like lifelines, watching windows close for lunch, for prayers, for reasons unnamed. Sad reality understands delay, how time stretches like old rubber, how minutes grow heavy, how patience wears thin shoes. We learn to lower expectations, not as wisdom but as defense, building fences around the heart, calling them boundaries. Sad reality whispers comparisons. Your friend is ahead. Your neighbor is settled. You are still trying. It teaches us to explain ourselves, to justify pauses, to apologize for circumstances we never chose. At night, the phone stays silent, not out of peace but neglect, contacts filled with numbers that no longer answer. Sad reality is the wait in greetings. "How are you?" asked quickly, answered with rehearsed smiles, truth packed away carefully. It knows how pride starves quietly, refusing help even when drowning, choosing dignity over relief, and paying the hidden cost. Sad reality walks beside labor, hands cracked, backs bent, dreams postponed like holidays, strength mistaken for consent. Children memorize excuses early, why toys must wait, why school trips are delayed, why promises change shape. Sad reality sits at family tables, food divided with unspoken math, each bite measured against tomorrow, each silence louder than hunger. It trains the heart in endurance, how to keep beating under pressure, how to survive disappointment, how to age before time. Sad reality respects effort, but does not guarantee reward, teaches us the hardest lesson. Trying is not always enough. We become fluent in almost succeeded, almost loved, almost free. Sad reality loves paperwork, forms that ask for everything, spaces too small for stories, boxes that never fit us. It watches talents fade slowly, musicians without stages, writers without readers, thinkers without time. Sad reality wears the mask of logic. Be realistic, they say, as if dreams were crimes, as if hope were childish. We store ambition in drawers, next to unpaid bills, take it out occasionally, dust it with sighs. Sad reality is the echo of advice, given without understanding. Work harder, as if effort had a switch. It teaches love to be careful, not to give too much, not to expect too deeply, not to fall without armor. Sad reality remembers every failure, replays it at random hours, never showing the courage it took to even begin. Sleep becomes a negotiation between exhaustion and worry, between what was lost and what might be lost next. Sad reality does not shout, it repeats, day after day, until acceptance sounds like peace. Yet somewhere under the weight, a quiet rebellion grows, not loud enough to notice, strong enough to endure. We still wake up, still try again, still believe in small chances, still carry tomorrow in our pockets. Sad reality shapes us roughly, but it does not own us, for even cracked vessels can carry light. Sad reality rides the morning bus, shoulders pressed, knees knocking, faces tired from nights that never slept, dreams folded like newspapers. It counts the coins in pockets, listens to whispered debts, calculates interest and sighs, remembers every broken promise. We learn to nod politely, even when our insides shake, learn to thank the indifferent, smile at the cruel, pretend it's okay when it isn't. Sad reality lives in empty rooms, where laughter echoes once, then dies under dust and shadows, where memories hang on hooks, too sharp to touch. It sits beside lovers at cafes, watching hands untangle slowly, not caring for words of passion, only noting who leaves first. Sad reality counts every step, calculates the cost of mistakes, marks paths we cannot retrace, and leaves footprints in ashes. We learn the art of compromise, how to shrink without noticing, how to whisper our needs softly, so they are barely heard. Sad reality is the chill in morning air, even when sun rises, teaching that warmth is temporary, that comfort is borrowed, and happiness can be postponed. It waits in hospital corridors, in queues of chemotherapy and prayers, in the silence after a doctor leaves, in the spaces between heartbeat and hope. We carry sadness politely, like a briefcase of secrets, opening only to trusted eyes, hiding the rest under layers of etiquette. Sad reality makes us question luck, why some are showered with chances, why others chase them like shadows, always too far, always unseen. It whispers when love leaves, "How could you have known?" Teaches that some goodbyes are rehearsed, others silent. We trade time for survival, hours for money, youth for responsibility, smiles for silence, and sometimes forget what we owned. Sad reality is patient with suffering, never in a hurry, yet relentless, teaching endurance with quiet hands. It haunts abandoned parks, where swings creak in wind, memories of children laughing, now shadows in rusted chains. It waits in exam halls, where failure sits on desks, where courage trembles under paper, and dreams fold in corners. We learn to apologize for being tired, for being hungry, for needing more, even when the world asks for nothing in return. Sad reality does not weep for itself, but sees ours clearly, collects tears like rainfall, maps grief in invisible lines. It rides the subway at night, lights flickering, faces drained of hope, all stories untold, all prayers unheard. We learn the language of patience, sentences long with silence, words heavy with unsaid, smiles that carry weight. Sad reality knows that courage is small gestures in the dark, showing up when no one watches, persisting when the world does not care. It counts each heartbreak carefully, weighs each disappointment, but never denies the faint glimmers of what might be possible. We learn that not all battles are won, not all tears are dried, but even bruised hearts can keep beating, even shattered dreams can inspire again. Sad reality lives in every quiet room, every empty street, every tired smile, yet it cannot steal resilience, cannot erase the spark we clutch stubbornly. It waits for us to notice it, to nod, to fold it neatly into our lives, and move forward anyway. Sad reality lingers in office halls, where fluorescent lights hum coldly, papers stacked like small mountains, and smiles are rationed like coffee. It watches the clerk stamp forms, sign letters that change nothing, file complaints that vanish in drawers, hear excuses repeated as prayers. We learn the value of quiet, how to hold anger in palms, how to swallow it politely, like bitter tea, like memories of betrayal. Sad reality hides in rainy windows, trails streaks down glass, reminds us how wet roads mirror life, slick, reflective, slippery, leading somewhere we cannot see. It sits with single parents at dawn, folding clothes, packing lunchboxes, smiling through exhaustion, praying for strength that rarely arrives on time. We trade sleep for work, work for wages, wages for rent, and wonder why joy always seems overdue. Sad reality stands in hospital waiting rooms, hands trembling over forms, heart racing with unspoken fears, watching the clock measure hope in slow, cruel ticks. It follows us into cafes, where friends laugh, but their laughter doesn't reach us, because our debts weigh heavier than jokes and coffee cups. We learn that love can be conditional, that friendship can fade quietly, that promises may break without noise, and sometimes silence is louder than betrayal. Sad reality knows the cost of ambition, how striving steals sleep, how goals arrive late or only half-formed, leaving exhaustion as companion. It whispers in crowded streets, how many are really awake? How many move only because they must? How many have forgotten to dream? We memorize ways to survive, counting steps like coins, walking paths lined with compromise, learning to bend without breaking completely. Sad reality lives in letters we never send, in emails we never hit send on, in words we whisper to empty rooms, in confessions that echo against walls. It sits beside students at night, books open, eyes tired, watching courage drain slowly into assignments, tests, deadlines, dreams folded like origami never displayed. We learn to measure our grief, not by its weight, but by how quietly it can sit without disturbing the world, how silently it can be carried while smiling at strangers. Sad reality speaks in job interviews, asks why you left, what you gained, how much you can endure, as if suffering were proof of competence. It sits in the shadows of weddings, where happiness is celebrated, and those without are reminded of absent joys, of postponed lives, of empty chairs at tables. We learn to compromise on dreams, to trade ambition for stability, passion for security, risk for routine, and call it wisdom. Sad reality haunts buses at midnight, where faces are tired and pale, where hopes ride silently beside us, waiting for stops that may never arrive. It knows that silence is survival, that words can wound more than swords, that the hardest battles are often the ones unseen. We collect regrets like trophies, each a lesson we never wanted, each a memory we cannot discard. Sad reality lives in empty pockets, in wallets with more bills than notes, in hands that reach for what's promised, finding only air. It follows us into family dinners, where comparisons are currency, and love must be measured carefully or taxed by expectation. We learn that courage is small, that heroism may simply be showing up, that surviving the day is sometimes the greatest triumph. Sad reality counts every tear, every sigh, every silent prayer, and still waits for us to rise again, to face another day. Yet beneath its weight, we carry stubborn sparks, tiny lights that refuse to go out, proof that even in despair, life persists. We still wake, still move, still laugh in private, still hope in whispers, still dream in corners of our weary minds. Sad reality is patient, but we are persistent, and persistence becomes defiance, even when the world is heavy. Sad reality waits in bus stops at dawn, watching tired bodies shuffle, watching eyes half closed, dreams packed in torn bags, hearts folded into worn jackets. It walks beside the laborer in fields, hands raw, back bent, sun-burning skin, soil embedded under fingernails, pay measured in coin, value measured in exhaustion. We learn to calculate suffering, how much pain can be endured, how long we can go without hope, how deep silence can become before breaking. Sad reality sits in cafes where lovers meet, cups clinking, words floating, while it notices the lonely at the next table, watching them sip warm drinks to fill the emptiness of cold lives. It whispers when friendships fade, "What did you expect?" Teaches that some hearts drift quietly, without notice, without apology. We learn to apologize for our tiredness, for our hunger, for our dreams, for existing in ways that inconvenience others, for asking too much from a world that demands everything. Sad reality counts bills at night, lists debts like confessions, calculates interest on hope, reminds that tomorrow rarely arrives with mercy or understanding. It follows students to classrooms, where silence is measured, where mistakes are etched in permanence, and success is a narrow, crowded street. We learn the art of patience, not as virtue but as necessity, waiting for doors that seldom open,